Hi everyone, I hope you are all doing well. So today it's all about clematis, and especially type 3 clematis. So right here on this trellis, I actually have two clematis plants there. Cezanne Clematis that I have is a type 2 clematis, and it blooms both on old and new wood. So the blooms that you saw early on in the season was on old wood, and now I'm going to prune it all the way back and let it flush out new blooms on new wood. Now this, however, would occur later on in the season. Now the Giselle Clematis, however, is a type 3 clematis, and it actually blooms on new wood later on in the season. However, earlier in the spring, I did leave a little bit of the old vines behind, and so it did bloom for me also on old wood. But now again, I'm going to do the same thing like I will do with the Cezanne and let it flush out new blooms on new wood. So right now it already finished its first bloom earlier on, and you can kind of see all those seed heads that are growing, and they are gorgeous, but I actually don't want to be looking at that for the entire summer. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually going to prune both of them all the way to about 6 inches or so from the ground. And in addition to that, I will also be feeding it with a little bit of roast food as well as a little bit of the eggshells that I've got saved. And I'm going to be using just a handheld device, anything that you use, a rake or anything like that. And I'm going to work it into the first few inches of the compost that I've laid on top of the plants there. There, that's how it's looking right now. Now I did do something a little bit different than what I initially thought I was going to do. So instead of cutting the clematis all the way to the ground and let the whole thing flush back up, I decided to leave about a foot, 12 inches or so of the old foliage, just because I was thinking that this area here is kind of shady, and so I don't think there's going to be enough sunlight that can penetrate through these tall lilies to get to them. So I left a little bit of the vine just so that it can have some, foliage to help with the photosynthesis and help the plant flush quickly back up the trellis again. So anyway, I also did add in a little bit of compost on top as well to act as mulch. And like I said, I worked in the eggshells as well as the rose fertilizer for the clematis. And on this trellis, I also have a Sarah Elizabeth clematis. This one is also in its second year, and I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut it back to about 12 inches or so, give it some compost, some eggshells, and fertilizer. So here's the Sarah Elizabeth. I gave it a little bit of compost, a little bit of the food, and the eggshells. I worked everything in, but notice that I did do something different than what I did with the Giselle and the Cezanne, which is cutting it all the way back to the ground. And the reason why I did that was because all the old growth, the vines on the bottom, was actually all dead and brown, so I actually had to remove everything all the way to the ground. And I also cleaned up some of the branches that was leaning over here from the Incredible, so that space is now so much more open and will allow much more sunlight to penetrate to the roots of the clematis. So anyhow, that's looking so much better now. Just in case you're wondering whether or not you should water everything in once you cut it back and fertilize the plants, for me, I'm actually not going to water them in because we are expecting severe thunderstorm today as well as for the next 4 or 5 days. So I don't think the garden needs any more water. But if it's not the case in your area, you should water everything well in just to kind of help the plant soak in the nutrients and start working into the soil right away. So here's all the mess that I created. So anyway, I'm gonna go clean that up, and I am going to stop the video here. I want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Bye bye for now.